Good afternoon and welcome to Bull Market Stock Show. This is your host, Rian Opson, and we're doing actually the very important inflation news that will be out at 2:30 South African time. And then we have the FOMC meeting, which will be not the FOMC meeting, but the minutes actually, that will be at around 8 o'clock South African time. So they will release the minutes, and then we will see will they start to taper or not. But there is some hawkish signals that comes out of the Federal Reserve, but the more hawkish signals is actually coming from the Bank of England. And it looks like the Bank of England is going to move first of all the major banks. Then possibly, maybe depending on tonight, what will be the main topic of the Federal Reserve. But the inflation number of the day will be important, and that might actually trigger of what we can see actually tonight at 8 o'clock after the break.
Keep your finger on the market pulse with the News Alerts tool. Stay up to date on the latest sentiment across all the major asset classes. Uncover bullish or bearish signals tied to specific assets that could be developing before major price moves, and track how news sentiment correlated with price in the past. Track the news volume on an asset, its fear index, and get a better feel for its underlying strength. All with News Alerts, your central hub for market information. That's higher trading from MarketsX.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Bull Market Stock Show. This is your host, Rian Opson, and we're doing actually the very important inflation news, which will be at 2:30. Before I go on, please don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube page, and please click on the markets.com link below. Fund the account with $250. Obviously, you need to register, and then fund the account with $250, and I will give your classes absolutely free. With today's inflation number is going to be very interesting. I do expect actually a big number to come out for the inflation. I do think it will actually beat estimates, and that might get the trigger for the Federal Reserve actually later on. Will they actually tighten quicker? Because that is what I do expect tonight. If inflation number is big, then we might see the Federal Reserve act a bit more aggressive, because there is a bit of supply chain disruption, especially in the United States and basically across the world. But if this is actually the forecast that we can expect actually tonight, at 2:30, this is now core inflation. That will be out. That is now excluding food and energy. And then we have inflation year on year, which will be at 5.3%. The main thing will also be the inflation, actually the month over month. So that is also very important that we need to look at. But I think that this number here, it will definitely overshoot. There is two factors that actually come in. One is the rental that actually increases, because obviously when the housing market went up, people were buying houses. A lot of people move into rentals, and the rentals is actually 30% of the United States CPI number. So I think the rental will actually kick in now, and that will have the effect on the inflation. And then one thing that came out yesterday, this was actually a big one here, and I think he will knock the hell out of the inflation number. And this is actually the job openings report that was out yesterday. This was actually a record number of 4.3 million workers quit their jobs in August, led by food and retail industry. Look, in total, that was now 4.3 actually that left their jobs yesterday. That was now with the job openings report. And what they actually did say is there's a lot of people who quit their jobs, especially in the food industry, accommodation industry. They actually left their jobs. So what does that mean? That means that the employer needs actually to get the people back. Obviously, you need to give more incentives. You need to give a higher salary. You need to give maybe, I don't know, medical aid or something. So wages will definitely increase. So because that actually happened in August, and that's why it was reported yesterday. So which means wages needs to increase. And it's actually across the board that it happened, but it hits hard the food industry. So your merchandisers, people that pack food, people that are cashiers and those type of things. So that actually will hit the food inflation. And food inflation is actually an indicator of the CPI number. So because of those people that are leaving, the wages need to increase. And obviously when wages increase, that is where it translates to CPI number. Because what the employer needs to do, he needs to pay people more. So that goes over to the consumer. And the consumer needs to pay more for his goods. And that's why we will get a higher CPI number. That is just my forecast that I look at, where we'll get a higher CPI number. So I'm sure you guys are sitting now. So what the hell is going to happen to the market? Now, if the CPI number erupts quite heavily, look, this is just my estimation, all right? But I think this number here might actually be hot, the CPI number, sorry, the core CPI number, and also the CPI, the normal inflation number. I expect about a 5.7% here for inflation. And then I look at core inflation at about 4.1 or 4.2. But I think the main story will be actually the CPI number. Look, I will not be surprised if we see a CPI number of inflation number at 6%. The economy in the United States is extremely hot. And if people have the luxury of quitting their jobs, it just shows you how the shortage in labor is actually nailing the economy. Because when you have people who just can quit their jobs, then it means the economy is on fire. Look, in South Africa, we can't even do that. Even if your boss comes with with some bob to work, you can't actually leave your job, because where the hell will you get another job in South Africa? In the United States, they are quitting left, right, and center. And that is the actual situation in the United States, because the economy is literally on fire. So that's why I think that CPI number will increase in the United States. That's why I'm not surprised if it will be at 6%. So what will happen to the United States dollar? That will send a signal to the FOMC meeting that they need to taper quickly. So that might actually lead to an extremely strong dollar. I'm just not sure what's happening with gold, because gold's behavior has been very weird for the last few months. But one thing that I know, the high CPI number will actually, or has the potential of pushing up the US dollar. And that will actually indicate a signal to the FOMC that they need to tighten quickly, because they do think that inflation is no longer transitory, but it's actually stagnant, or it's actually stagflation, as they say. So the dollar goes up, and obviously if the dollar goes up, then basically you will get your NASDAQ that will go down, you will get your Dow Jones that will go down, oil prices that will go down, basically everything that go down against the US dollar if the inflation number is actually now something far bigger than this, 5.3, if it goes to 5.5, 5.7, or even 6. Look, if it's 6%, then it's chaos. Then it's totally chaos. If it's 5.5%, I think that is where we will see also a stronger dollar. But if it's in line with 5.3%, then the market will say this is the peak of inflation, and you will not see a stronger dollar. I see the dollar is actually is not performing well, because the market anticipates that we will see a 5.3%, and then they will say this is the peak of inflation, we will get no longer inflation, and then the Federal Reserve will go on with a nonsense story that it is transitory. But if it's 6% or 5.5% or 5.7%, 5.7% to 6%, you will get a mess in the market. If you get about maybe 5.4, 5.5%, they will not actually get much about that, worry about that. But something higher, then you will get the market actually go a bit berserk. Then you will see a very strong dollar, and all the others, commodities and your Dow Jones and all of those things. Even the bond market will react crazy because the yields will go up quite sharply. So we have to be very careful on this inflation number, because it is a very crucial inflation number, and obviously we have this the FOMC meeting at 8 o'clock. So all the best. Watch rather for the data to come out. That is just my forecast, please. It's just my forecast. So I would say rather wait for the news to come out. But if it's a big number, I think you can prepare yourself for a very strong dollar. So that is it from my side. Thanks a lot for watching. And please don't forget to subscribe on my YouTube page. And also click on the Marcus.com link. Fund it with $250 and get your classes absolutely free from me. That's it from my side. See you guys tomorrow, and all the best with the inflation news and FOMC.